There's great alignment is on the need to eliminate the fraud in the program. And I think some of these visa programs are being used to bring people in for no other reason than to displace American workers and to do things more cheaply. So
with Musk, with Vivek Ramaswamy, with David Sachs, who's the incoming AI czar, all of them saying that the U.S. needs these H-1B visas and H-1B workers in order to stay competitive.
You can secure the border all you want, but if you don't have corresponding immigration reform, you're never going to really truly get a handle on the immigration situation.
Hello everybody and welcome to this episode of Common Sense View. For 3 days now, there has been a constant fight in so-called fight in the MAGA world. Elon Musk, Vivek, and a lot of others are fully behind or in support of the H1B Visa, whereas a whole lot of the other side of the MAGA movement are against it. It's important to take a side here. But at the end of the day, it is not really a crack as the mainstream media is suggesting, because that is what they have wanted to occur. Unfortunately for them, they ignore the fact that the MAGA movement is not just a movement of conservative, but a coalition of those who are saying, stock it or stick it to the establishment. Those who are tired of the nonsense, the shenanigans, the deception, the lies, the promise without fulfillment of the establishment. They are the people that come together and form the coalition called MAGA 2.0. On the contrary, the media, especially the mainstream media and the Democrat wing, which is also an extension of the mainstream media, think that the infighting is an indication that there is a big crack in the MAGA world. There is none. The MAGA at the moment has only one leader, and that is Trump. Whatever he says has weight, more weight than whatever any other person is saying. And that brings me to the point we are here to think about today. A lot of people have given their voice. Even Elon Musk has also played down his initial position, which was that he was ready to go to war for this. But he has also amended his position to mean that there is visible crack or visible anomalies, abuses in the H1B visa process. That they can also do with reformation, which is important in any institution that is under the government, because the government is in the habit of screwing things up. So long as there is a good faith remaking, re-examining, or taking it from a different perspective from what it has been. Initially, the first informal idea was that they want to bring high-skilled individuals from all over the world to come and build one nation. But at a point, it became a way of indentureship. Some people pay some people as a kind of semi-slaves for them, to work for them as long as their slavery is running, to get money to pay for their freedom. And that is how Anakota and initially Sibanon saw it. But Elon Musk, in a kind of direct contrast to that, suggested that, okay, there can be a cap of salary these people should receive if you are hiring them. And there should be also a cap on the tax you pay for keeping them. That is suggesting a reformation. But few different media has made some interesting arguments regarding either part of this. But I want us to listen to the CNN crew and our regular guy, Jennings, what he has to say with the crew members and how they are seeing it from different perspectives. Really interesting, unlike what it used to be.
I think it is revealed that there is some elasticity in the party on its ability to debate the immigration issue. Certainly there are hardliners on immigration who have supported Donald Trump. He himself has been a hardliner, but he has also said repeatedly, publicly, that he wants immigration reform, that he wants to do something for the Dreamers. He has also talked about the need for people to come in to the country to do certain kinds of things. And then you have these other new supporters of Donald Trump who understand that if you're just recruiting like the top 0.1% of the best and most talented, say engineers from around the world, that's probably a good thing. I think where there's great alignment is on the need to eliminate the fraud in the program. And I think some of these visa programs are being used to bring people in for no other reason than to displace American workers and to do things more cheaply. So I think the common ground and the way forward is bringing the people who are the goats, you know, of engineering from around the world. Bring those people here and then focus on American workers, American students for everything else. And that would be a good blend of how.
So you see, this is a very mindful argument. So, and as he said, there is an alignment on bringing the best of the best from all over the world to build the economy, and subjugate the idea of eliminating or removing the American workforce from the field by importing cheap labor. And that is true. That is also in line with the suggestion Elon Musk was given, which, of course, there are a group of absolutists in the MAGA who don't want anyone at all to come for job. Of course, you know that it is not possible. And no country can build itself alone. Every country need a hand, one way or the other, either by stealing them or by importing them. And I think the H1B Visa program is a way of importing the best of the best from all over the world. Some people are complaining that the Indians are the more beneficiary to this. Yes, they put the work. You put the work, you get the pay. So let's continue with Scott. He always has a good argument.
I think this is going to move forward.
That might be the case, but Laura Loomer is saying don't bring Indians into America. I mean, she's pretty clear about what she's
I don't know if she's watched many Bollywood movies, but not only are they very good, but they're actually a lot more modest than Hollywood films. So that comment was a little bit off base, but I think, you know, what we're calling the tech right versus the MAGA right is really a long-standing split in the Republican Party between libertarians and conservatives. The Republican Party has been holding together those two groups for a long time, and they agree on about 70–80% of stuff. This is a thing they've always disagreed on. Libertarians value economic growth and efficiency and free markets above all else. Conservatives go halfway there, but at the end of the day, will side with protecting American workers from foreign competition. So, you know, you have to give credit to Donald Trump for holding those two coalitions together throughout the entire campaign so that this fissure didn't actually come to light until after they won. And now you're seeing it come to light.
Where did the significant contingent of ethno-nationalists fall within the conservatism and libertarianism frame? I mean, to me, that doesn't necessarily fit within either of those two. And I think it is a significant thing within the MAGA coalition. But it also, this debate reveals something broader. You've got, I think, a very incoherent MAGA coalition for years now, where you've got business elites driving the policy discussion, setting the policy agenda, as working class people are oftentimes getting screwed. I mean, the top priority for this incoming administration is going to be tax cuts for the wealthy. And we now see this conversation about immigration not even taking shape the way that white working class people thought it would.
So if I may ask a question, Madison. So you think working class people have been screwed by the immigration policy of the last 4 years, where people are coming into the country and displacing American workers?
No, so I don't agree with
that. Yeah, that is it. See, the Second Republican there, or Libertarian, was talking about what the liberals see as a crack among the MAGA. It's not really a crack, but it has been the point of contention between the really far conservatives and the libertarian conservative, who are open to free market, freedom of ideas, and freedom of people coming in to be part of the economy. On the other hand, the Democrats, who always have a different perspective that really is away from what is going on, as they are seeing this as not just seeing this as an incoherent part of the MAGA movement. Of course, I disagree with that. The MAGA, as I said in one of my videos, they may agree with Trump in a lot of things, but not in everything. And they don't think that Trump is beyond criticism, unlike the left. When they saw the tax cut of Trump, of the former administration, as giving tax break to the rich, that is also to tell you that they're not just dishonest, but they are really conservative with the truth. Because immediately after that tax cut was given, a lot of workers were receiving just like paycheck regularly from their employers. not just the paycheck cashback, they were also, most of the people registered up to $1,000 tax back at the end of the tax year. So it's not really a tax cut for the rich, as they usually say, or the trickle-down economy, as they usually call it. But a talking point must always come with the Democrat. Is he really, truly 100% wrong? No, maybe. But the level of truth he has in his discussion is as far little as significant as whatever that will make meaning in this discussion. That is to say, keep what he said apart. Tax cut, when the rich get 15% tax cut or tax to pay, what does it give them opportunity to do? More jobs are created. And there's no rich man who doesn't want to make more money, except the idiotic one. Every rich person, every wealthy person that has an establishment wants to make more money. How do you make more money? You re-inject your profit into the establishment. You reinvest your profit. And that is also a plus, because when you invest your profit, you have more work to be done, and you hire more workforce. They know this simple math, but they usually ignore it. So, CNN, for the first time I've been watching them in a very distant time, making a very lovely argument here, trying to show that the MAGA is where it should be. It's always around Trump. And there are other news organizations that have their own pundits going into this. And one of those is Fox News.
President-elect Trump supporting Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy after the two backed H1B visas for foreign workers, telling the New York Post, quote, "I've always liked the visas. I've always been in favor of the visas. That's why we have them. I have many H1B visas on my properties. I've been a believer in H1B. I've used it many times. It's a great program." Our next.
So, Trump had to come in with this answer to New York Times, because a lot of people were saying, "Oh, he just moved aside. He doesn't want to be part of the discussion." No, he wants to be part of the discussion. He weighed in. That is what a good leader is supposed to do. You don't just jump in the middle of a discussion to polarize or take sides. On the contrary, he waited for a lot of argument, a lot of bickering to go on in this, and then he came in and made his position clear. He didn't take full position of Elon and Vivek, and he didn't take full position of the other side of MAGA, because at the end of the day, you see one family trying to figure out how to pursue a particular policy, which is hardly seen on the left. On the left, when there is a policy, everyone agrees and they go in horse like bees. Nobody questions. But here, the policy is thrown open and everyone is making his voice heard. It looks like a fight, but it's a way of coming to a conclusion. And at the end, he weighed in and made his point clear.
Guest, though, is not sold on Trump's claims. Joining us now is American Majority founder and CEO Ned Ryan. Wow, a lot of confusion around this because, as you know, Ned, first of all, welcome and Happy New Year. As you know, Donald Trump had a lot of criticisms for this program and said there were a lot of abuses of it. Elon Musk has now come out, Vivek Ramaswamy, and now Donald Trump told the New York Post this. So what is your take?
Well, my take is the entire conversation started around increasing the number of H1B visas, which was precisely the wrong place to start a conversation in expanding what is a broken and abused system. And I think a lot of people can acknowledge the H1B visa system is broken. It's been abused. Elon posted some things last night that I think would be a nice starting point, that you have to significantly raise the minimum salary and then add an annual cost to these H1B visas to maintain them. I think we have to get to the point, Rachel, where we make it prohibitively expensive to have an H-1B visa to really focus on having those truly exceptional people come in and use them. But Rachel, I think the thing has to be the thing that has to be discussed is the fundamental issues around this whole entire debate. Is that America fundamentally is not an economic zone. We're not some global storefront. Americans should not be treated as second-class citizens in their own country because federal policy allows billion-dollar corporations to hire foreign workers at under market wages instead of paying American workers full wages. So if we can start to frame the conversation that way and understand the system is broken, it needs to be reformed, and the American people should actually be prioritized in all things, that really is the message of America First.
Yeah, as you can see, Yeah, he a little bit digressed from what Trump said, but not fully. He mentioned three things. Number one, reform the process. Reform the process. Number two, put a cap on the amount that you pay to those people who are coming in, so that it makes it difficult for companies who are hiring them to lower costs or indenture workers. And then number three, let not Americans be second class to these people. It's a very gentleman argument, a common sense argument. In my view, it's a common sense view, and anyone who is open-minded to this idea will see that even though he disagreed with Trump, it was not entirely a disagreement, but a kind of a caveat from the policy Trump said that he support, and also a caveat from what Vivek wrote initially, which makes it look like the American culture is nothing in comparison to the culture of the people who are coming in. Yes, the Indians are really decent people in any case, because majority of them that come for this visa are Indians. And another caveat that Trump gave, which should be considered, is when people come to study in the country, you do not just let them leave if they want to stay. You give them a green card, which gives them opportunity to stay and make use of the study they acquired for the betterment of the country. And it's not only Fox News and CNN. CNBC also have their own argument, which is more of gathering few of things other people say. Let's just give them a shot.
This is a showdown between the big tech wing of Trump's Republican Party, led by Elon Musk, and the far-right MAGA wing of the party. And the debate is over H1B visas, those ones that are reserved for highly skilled foreign workers in fields like math and engineering. And this all started with a far-right activist, Laura Loomer, criticizing a Trump appointee's stance on expanding skilled immigration. She called it alarming that career leftists, as she called them, were joining the administration with views in opposition to Trump's America First agenda. And that then started a fight with Musk, with Vivek Ramaswamy, with David Sachs, who's the incoming AI czar, all of them saying that the U.S. needs these H1B visas and H1B workers in order to stay competitive. They also believe that Trump is on their side in this. He said this summer that anyone who graduates from college in the U.S. should automatically get a green card to stay. Now, guys, these visas aren't a huge part of overall immigration. They're capped at $85,000 per year, but they are used primarily by tech companies. Amazon applied for more H1B visas in 2024 than any other company. Other big names are among the top users as well. Tesla applied for 742 of these this year. You can see a couple other theirs as well. So it's a small but influential sliver of the workforce. But it's also, guys, the first time that we're seeing real division within the party on this. It's sort of Musk versus MAGA. And the question now is whether this might preview more policy fights to come between these two camps.
Yeah, she started with calling some people far right. I usually have problem with this far right of a thing. There's no specific definition of what this far right means. Any person on the right is described as far right. Any conservative that usually pursue conservative values is described as far right. I've never seen any person being called far left except the progressives and Antifa, which is completely nonsense. Now, that being said, she was raising the issue on what the reaction of the people who were in favor of this visa were talking about, that US really need this visa to be operative in order to remain competitive in the world, considering that China is seriously overtaking them in a lot of areas, including tech especially. But then accusing Luma, is it Ponena Luna? Yeah. Anna Pona Luna, accusing her of being the main reason for this might make sense for her, but I don't really think this is a discussion that has always been between the Republicans and the Libertarians, the hardcore Republicans and the fairly centrist Republicans. This argument has always been there. Luma was more or less just raising it, and it's good that it's coming at this point and everyone has his or her say to be part of the discussion. And whether it will cause a real division, I don't think so, because they can talk what they want. It is not them that set the principles or policies for Trump. Trump set policies for Trump. Trump set policies for the MAGA, and he is the head of the coalition, and he remains that. He has a time. If you know that one of the things he does well is tell you you are fired, and I don't think he will find it difficult telling anyone that is obstructing his movement that he or she is fired. So, and I want us to give ABC a shot. Let's see what they were talking about in this regard.
We're talking about legal immigration here. Why do you think that has become such a hot button issue for some on the right?
Well, when I was in Congress, I became head of the Homeland Security Committee. And at one point when Speaker Ryan was in power, we tried to redo the immigration laws because we understood, and everyone understands, that you can secure the border all you want, but if you don't have corresponding immigration reform, you're never going to really truly get a handle on the immigration situation. And there's visa overstays, there's ag workers that are such high demand. Our visa lottery system is broken. And what happens in the Republican Party, what's developed, we experience it then, and it's developed since, is anytime you talk about immigration, the reaction is no amnesty, get them all out. Well, that's not realistic, number one. And number two, we educate a lot of people who all these high-tech companies and specialties want to grab, and they can't stay here after we educate them, number one. And number two, when we need this help from other countries, we don't get it. It's very simple. Have visas for people from other countries, but if they start cutting in the jobs, the next year you just decrease number of visas. It's a pretty simple formula, and I think Musk and Ramaswamy are spot on in that we need these people to compete on the world stage, and instead of having those people competing against us.
Okay, you see, he is also not against the visa. But according to him, when he was in the Congress, one of the things they were supposed to do is to reform the immigration process to align with the border closure. Because if you reform the immigration and align it with the border closure, then you can control who comes in at one point. Otherwise, if you close the border and the immigration process is not refined, people will come in. When they overstay their visa, you have almost nothing to do. It's almost going to square one. So, and it is unrealistic, according to him, to just let everyone should go, no amnesty and no visa. It's unrealistic. Because as I said earlier, it is impossible for a country to be wholly self-sufficient that they neither need anything from outside nor want to give anything to outsiders. So it's impossible. And any person who dreams of that doesn't know how it works to be a member of the international community. So, but the staunchest critique of this was given by Steve Bannon. Initially, when this discussion was funding up, he was more or less fair-minded, supported Elon, and wasn't so harsh about it. I don't know what happened in between, and what he gave here was more of a venom. He outright called them crony capitalists. I don't know what led to that. If you can figure it out from the talk, you can let me know. By the way, before you continue on this, please, if you are getting any value on this discussion, please subscribe, like, and share. And write your comments. Let's see how we can make this a conversation instead of a monologue. So let's see what Steve Bannon said, and maybe guess or conceptualize why he could be such critical towards Elon and Vivek.
Up crony capitalism and Elon Musk. And by the way, when we cut him off, he went begging the CCP, and that's why they have the joint venture in Shanghai, the Tesla, which is 100% of his value, right? This guy lives on government contracts and taxpayer subsidies, okay? It's all, we're going to get Joe Allen in here for a second to transform it. Elon Musk, once again, brother, I'm smart enough to tell you no to your face, and I'm evil enough to be able to expose you as a running dog for the greatest enemy this nation's ever had. You're a war profiteer. You're sleeping with the enemy, brother, and you've been doing it because you're not an American nationalist. You're not even an American. All you are is a globalist, okay? A globalist. And you will go where anybody writes you a check, and you would take it from Adolf Hitler himself, because you're taking it from people that are as bad as Adolf Hitler. The murderous regime of the Chinese Communist Party, which you praised on their 100th anniversary. Let me bring it.
Yeah. So whatever is the reason for that, I have no single idea. If you have any idea why he was so venomous against him, please let me know on the comment. And if you think that the criticism he's giving Elon is justified, also let me know on the comment side. If you think it's not justified, do exactly the same thing. So all I want to say in this, my own side is I have an argument for and against it. My argument for it is that, all as I have said within this particular post, there's no country, just as there's no individual who can succeed alone without external help. There's no country that can be the best without letting other people come in from other parts of the world. That is as far you can go, but you cannot do everything. If you check the US during the time of COVID, most of the doctors who worked overnight, who jumped inside the point zero, the epicenter of the whole thing, were predominantly foreigners. They were not doing it because they were foreigners, but I think they were doing it because they want to show gratitude. They put their life on the line to show gratitude, to show that they love the country and they are ready to go all in for the country. So when you bring in people who love your country, who have the knowledge, who have the ability to be part of the system, to grow the system, it's always a good thing. On the contrary, there is a possibility of bringing in people who will replace the workforce you have. And that is the problem I am having with the American system. On the upper side of the echelon, they said, these are really great people. The work that is for them, the other Americans cannot get. On the lower side, they also say, these are so low that Americans cannot take this job. And then you ask yourself, if the Americans can't take the work at the highest level, the A level, and they cannot take the work at the lowest level, the Z level, which work can they take? And that is where the dichotomy of this whole discussion lies. If there is a possibility of training Americans to be that good, only that it will take time, then you start now to create the forum to create those workers in the next 20, 30 years. But if the problem is that Americans, no matter how you train them, they cannot be that good, then the country is lost as it is. On that note, I say thank you so much for watching, and if you found value in what you watched, if you like what you heard, please subscribe, like, share, and let me have your comment. Until we meet again, peace.